Wanted to present some more information about some dishes that might make life easier for all of us. One of them is basically the filling of a pumpkin pie without the crust itself. When you make a crust, you have to add some kind of fat in order to get a nice crust. And if you make the pudding filling, the pumpkin filling, without the crust, you avoid a lot of fat. So that's one of the things that I would like to show you how to do today. And then the other is something that's already cooking over here, using a crock pot to start a soup-like meal that you turn on. You just throw it into the crock pot before you leave for work or do errands or whatever, and then turn it on. At the end of the day, you come back and you've got a nice soup to enjoy with your family. So first off, I started with a typical pumpkin pie recipe. The pie filling is the same as it is for a regular pumpkin pie that you would make with a crust. So what I did was I just basically made the filling, and then I used some of these small bowls. They're different sizes, as you can see, to fill up, and it depends on how much you want to eat. If you want to eat more, you fill up one of these bowls. If you want to eat a little bit less or have more of the dessert for more people, then you can use one of these smaller bowls. And my wife and I often use a coffee cup to fill up. That's often a lot to eat, so we're not going to do that as much as we have in the past. So basically, I made the same recipe. It's a recipe that you can get off the internet or the back of a can of pumpkin pie mix. And basically, you just add all the ingredients together. For a single helping, it would be 3/4 of a cup of sugar. That might be regular white sugar like this. I use this in the recipe that I've got going in the oven that I'll show you in a little bit. You could use this organic light brown sugar, and it is fair trade certified, which is something that I like to support, as well as being organic. Since it is a brown sugar, it's got some of the minerals left in it. It will change the taste a little bit. So you have to be careful about that. You have to kind of find your taste, experiment a little bit. As an alternative to the white sugar, you could add sugar that's been processed a little bit more than the brown sugar in this bag here, and kind of an intermediate sugar, if you will, between the light sugar, the brown sugar, and then the light brown sugar here that will change the taste of the pumpkin a little bit. So that's 3/4 of a cup of sugar, some of the pumpkin pie spice. This is a pumpkin pie mixture of pumpkin pie spice that I happen to buy at Trader Joe's. I don't think I'm going to buy this anymore. It's got a little bit more in it than I would like to have. I've got some ground cloves and some ground ginger in these little containers. I think I'll go back to these, and then obviously I have some cinnamon to add here. Mixed all those up with 2 eggs. I usually throw one of the yolks of one of the eggs that I use out, so I don't get the cholesterol that is in the yolk. The whites of an egg are cholesterol free. They've got a lot of protein, but not the cholesterol. So I usually crack both of the eggs open and throw out one of the yolks, and that just cuts back a little bit on the cholesterol. And mix them all along with 1 can of pumpkin and 1 can of evaporated milk. Mix it in my KitchenAid mixer over there, and then divvy it up between the glassware that I've got here. Bake at about 425 for approximately 15 minutes. And then, since it's a custard, I put it in water. After the 15 minutes, I'm going to turn it down to about 350 for about 40 minutes. So it's almost exactly like making a pumpkin pie, except you're reducing your fat intake significantly by not having a crust and throwing out half of the yolks in the eggs that you use in the recipe. Hi, Dave Weller here, the owner of Valley Wellness Health Promotion Company in San Jose, California, and we just fixed up some soup, vegetable soup with using vegetarian broth or broth that you've made yourself from vegetables that you've cooked previously, saved the water from cooking those vegetables, and possibly threw them into the freezer to accumulate them for a period of time. I used that, my homemade broth, in addition to some broth that I get, low sodium broth from Trader Joe's. Threw a bunch of them into my crock pot, a bunch of vegetables and some beans and veggie soup mix, a little bit of veggie soup mix. And when that's heated up, you start it at the beginning of the day. When you come home from work at the end of the day, you've got a nice soup there. If you've got bread, you can have a nice slice of bread. You could cut a piece of cheese and have almost a full meal that way. Alternatively, what you could do when you serve your soup is to put on a dab of sour cream, low-fat sour cream, something like that. The emphasis is on low sodium and low fat. And since I didn't use any animal products, there would not be any animal products in, or fat animal products that is saturated fat in the soup. So that's in good shape. It was very tasty, and along with my bread and a hunk of cheese or something like that, makes a great meal. For dessert, what we prepared was some pumpkin pie filling in a different sized containers. So I've got, for dessert, if you like a smaller serving, I've got a small, I'm not sure, this is maybe 1 cup of pumpkin pie filling, and this may be a cup and a half. And then this is the largest version. I just put it in a coffee cup here. Mix it all amongst. You can use any recipe that you desire. It comes on the can of whatever kind of pumpkin mixture you get, or you can search the web for it. Basically, it's some sweetening with some pumpkin mixture and some, usually evaporated milk is what's used to put the whole mixture in with. And then you put it in the oven at about 425 in a water bath for about 15 minutes, and then you turn the oven down for about 325, 350, something like that, for about 40 minutes, and then you've got a great dessert. Again, the emphasis is on low fat. You don't have any kind of crust that you've got either Crisco or butter that you used in the crust. So you've got low fat, and if you use non-fat or 1% or even 2% of evaporated milk, you're going to be even lower in fat. But if you use non-fat, you're going to be better off in the end. So we've got our large version of pumpkin pie without the crust. We've got the kind of the medium-sized pumpkin pie without the crust, and then the smaller baby-sized pumpkin pie without the crust. So there you go, nice meal, homemade soup made in my own crock pot, and then a homemade dessert, pumpkin pie without the crust. Very, very tasty and very healthy. Check us out on the web. We're at www.valley-wellness.com. Come visit us sometime.